Level 1. Forums and message boards. Before Instagram, before Facebook, before any of it, there was just text on a screen and strangers arguing about things that didn't matter. The World Wide Web is barely 3 years old. There are no profiles, no followers, no likes, no algorithms, just bulletin board systems, Usenet groups, and early forums where people typed messages and waited hours, sometimes days, for someone to reply. And here's the thing nobody talks about. This was the purest version of social media that ever existed. No vanity metrics, no performance, just ideas and conversation. These early forums had real culture. Usenet alone had thousands of groups organized by topic. alt.music, rec.sports, sci.space. People used pseudonyms. Nobody knew who you were. You were just your words and your arguments. The reputation you built was based entirely on what you said, not what you looked like or how many followers you had. Reddit, launched in 2005, is essentially a modern version of this same structure. Upvotes, downvotes, subreddits. It's Usenet with a better interface. That's not an insult, that's the point. The forum model is so fundamentally solid that it survived everything that came after it. Every other social platform tried to replace it. None of them did. But forums had one fatal flaw. They were organized around topics, not people. You followed conversations, not individuals. And that meant there was a ceiling on how personal and how addictive they could get. Someone figured that out in 2003. And once they did, social media stopped being about what you were interested in and started being about you. That change sounds small. It wasn't. Level 2. Friend networks. Before 2003, the internet knew everything about topics. It knew nothing about people. That was about to change completely. Friendster launched in 2002, MySpace in 2003. For the first time, you didn't just have a username in a forum thread. You had a profile, a page that was yours, a photo, a list of friends, a top 8. If you were on MySpace between 2005 and 2008 and someone wasn't in your top 8, that was a social event. People had arguments over it, relationships ended over it, a ranking system for human beings, and everyone played along willingly. MySpace peaked at 100 million users in 2006. That number sounds small now. At the time, it was the most visited website in the United States. More than Google. Think about that for a second. But here's what these platforms actually invented that nobody gives them credit for: the social graph. The idea that your identity online is defined by your connections, who you know, who knows you, how many, and who's closest. That structure is still the foundation of every major social platform running right now. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, X. All of it is built on the same logic MySpace accidentally stumbled into. Friendster collapsed under its own weight. The servers couldn't handle the traffic, and the experience was too slow. MySpace got overtaken by something cleaner, faster, and more ruthlessly focused. These platforms didn't die because the idea was wrong. They died because someone else executed the idea better. And someone else was a 19-year-old college student sitting in a Harvard dorm room in 2004. The social profile wasn't just a feature. It was the foundation of a business model worth hundreds of billions of dollars. But nobody knew that yet. Nobody saw what was actually being built, until it was too late to stop it. Level 3. The Facebook era. Facebook didn't invent social media, it just swallowed it whole. Mark Zuckerberg launched the Facebook in February 2004, exclusively for Harvard students. Within 24 hours, 1,200 people had signed up. Within a month, half of Harvard was on it. By the end of 2004, it had expanded to 30 universities. By 2006, it was open to everyone. By 2008, it had 100 million users. By 2012, 1 billion. No platform in history had scaled that fast. Nothing before it, nothing since. What made Facebook different wasn't the profile. MySpace had profiles. What made Facebook different was the newsfeed, introduced in 2006. Suddenly, you didn't have to visit anyone's page. Everything came to you. A single, endless stream of updates from everyone you knew, automatically curated and delivered the moment you opened the app. That feed was the most important interface design decision in the history of social media. It trained an entire generation to expect a constant, real-time stream of other people's lives. And then Facebook made a move nobody talks about enough. It opened its platform to developers in 2007. Third-party apps, games, quizzes, all living inside Facebook, all harvesting data, all pulling users deeper. Farmville had 83 million monthly active users in 2009. An online farming game. 83 million people. Facebook wasn't just a social network anymore. It was infrastructure. It was the operating system the internet ran on. By 2010, Facebook had absorbed the concept of social media entirely. Getting online and going on Facebook meant the same thing to hundreds of millions of people. One platform, one feed, one company controlling what the entire world saw about each other. But controlling text and links wasn't enough. Someone realized the real power wasn't in what people said. It was in what people looked like. Level 4, the visual takeover. Words build arguments. Images bypass them entirely. That's the whole story of 2010. Instagram launched in October 2010. In 24 hours, 25,000 people signed up. In 3 months, 1 million users. In 18 months, 30 million. Facebook bought it in April 2012 for $1 billion in cash and stock. At the time, Instagram had 13 employees. 13. $1 billion for a company with 13 people and zero revenue. Zuckerberg wasn't buying a business. He was eliminating a threat and buying a behavior. Because Instagram had cracked something fundamental. It understood that smartphones had turned everyone into photographers, but nobody wanted to share ugly phone photos. Filters fixed that. One tap and your mediocre lunch looked cinematic. One tap and your ordinary afternoon looked aspirational. Instagram didn't just make sharing images easy. It made everyone's life look better than it actually was. And people were completely addicted to both sides of that transaction. Posting the fantasy version of your life. Consuming everyone else's. Pinterest launched the same year, building an entirely different visual behavior, collecting and curating images as a form of identity expression. You weren't sharing your life. You were sharing your taste. Your dream house, dream wardrobe, dream wedding. Pinterest understood that aspiration is more powerful than reality and built an entire platform around it. By 2013, images weren't just content on social media. Images were social media. Text was secondary. The visual language of the internet, filters, grids, aesthetic consistency was set in this era and never reversed. But here's what was quietly happening underneath all of this. Every upload, every like, every follow, every second spent staring at a screen. It was all being measured, logged, analyzed, and someone was about to use that data in a way that would make everything before it look like an accident. Level 5. The attention war. At some point, social media stopped being something you visited and became something that visited you. That shift happened here in 2012, and it was not an accident. Snapchat launched in 2011, but exploded in 2012, reaching 10 million active users within a year. The hook was disappearing content, messages that vanished after being viewed. It sounds trivial. It was the most psychologically sophisticated design decision social media had made up to that point. Permanence was gone. That meant lower stakes, more posting, more checking, more opening the app to see if something had disappeared yet. Snapchat didn't just design a feature, it engineered a compulsion loop. Twitter was doing something different, but equally powerful. The 2012 US presidential election was the first time Twitter became a real-time second screen for live events. 31 million tweets on election night alone. Twitter had cracked the live conversation, a perpetual breaking news feed where anyone could speak and anyone could be heard. The problem was that outrage traveled faster than anything else. Anger got retweeted. Nuance didn't. Twitter's design didn't create that dynamic on purpose. But once they saw the engagement numbers, they had no financial incentive to fix it. Then notifications arrived everywhere. Not gentle notifications, aggressive ones. Red badges on every app. Vibrations. Sounds. Lock screen interruptions. Your phone became a slot machine. Every notification was a potential reward. A like, a comment, a message, a follow. You couldn't ignore it. You weren't supposed to. The platforms were designed by the same behavioral psychology principles used in Las Vegas casinos. Variable reward schedules, unpredictable payoffs, maximum compulsion. By 2015, the average American was touching their phone 2,617 times per day. That number wasn't an accident. It was a product goal. But pure addiction has a ceiling. To go further, platforms needed something more powerful than notifications and disappearing photos. They needed to control not just when you looked, but what you saw. Level 6. The algorithm takes control. Until 2016, social media was still roughly chronological. You followed people, they posted, you saw it. The feed was messy and human and real. Then the platforms quietly flipped a switch, and nothing was ever the same. In March 2016, Instagram abandoned its chronological feed and replaced it with an algorithmic one. Facebook had already done this years earlier. Twitter followed. The stated reason was user experience. Algorithms would surface the best content so you wouldn't miss important posts. The real reason was time on platform. Algorithmic feeds kept people scrolling 70% longer than chronological ones. Engagement went up. Revenue went up. The decision was never about you. Here's what the algorithm actually optimized for: emotional response, content that triggered strong reactions, outrage, fear, desire, envy, generated more comments, more shares, more time spent. So the algorithm learned to show you more of it, not because anyone programmed it to radicalize or divide, but because division and outrage were the highest engagement content categories in the dataset. The algorithm didn't have an agenda, it had a metric, and the metric was engagement at any cost. The 2016 US presidential election exposed this at scale. Russian-linked accounts ran coordinated disinformation campaigns across Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, not because they hacked anything, but because the algorithm rewarded sensational content regardless of whether it was true. A completely fabricated political story would outperform a factual one if it made people angrier. The platforms were not neutral pipes, they were amplifiers, and they were amplifying whatever kept eyes on screen. By 2018, Facebook's internal researchers had identified that algorithmic content was increasing polarization. The findings were suppressed. Engagement was too valuable to sacrifice for social stability. You weren't scrolling the internet anymore. The internet was scrolling through you, selecting what to show, what to hide, what to amplify, and you had zero input into any of it. And then a company from Beijing arrived and made even that level of control look primitive. Level 7, the short video singularity. Every platform we've talked about so far asked you to choose what to watch. TikTok removed that choice entirely, and in doing so, it rewired how an entire generation processes information. ByteDance launched TikTok internationally in 2018, but 2020 was when it detonated. Lockdown populations, infinite time, and an algorithm so precise it felt illegal. TikTok's recommendation engine didn't rely on your social graph, who you follow, who follows you. It watched your behavior at the millisecond level, how long you paused on a video, where you rewatched, when you scrolled away, and at exactly what second. It built a behavioral fingerprint so accurate that within 30 minutes of a new user opening the app, it knew their interests better than their closest friends did. The results were unprecedented. Average daily usage hit 95 minutes per day by 2022. Instagram took 6 years to reach 1 billion users. TikTok did it in 5. By 2023, it was the most downloaded app on the planet for 3 consecutive years. And the content format, vertical, fast, no skip, under 60 seconds, didn't just dominate TikTok. It conquered every platform simultaneously. Instagram launched Reels, YouTube launched Shorts, Snapchat launched Spotlight, Twitter launched video carousels. Every competitor looked at TikTok's engagement numbers and built the same product. The short video format didn't win a competition. It ended one. But the deeper shift was cognitive. Average human attention span on digital content dropped measurably across this era. Long-form reading declined. 3-hour podcasts exploded simultaneously because the brain doesn't want medium length anymore. It wants either 7 seconds or 3 hours. The middle collapsed. TikTok didn't cause this alone, but it accelerated it faster than any single technology since the smartphone. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Every platform that copied TikTok's format also copied its core philosophy. Don't show people what they follow. Show people what the algorithm thinks will keep them watching. You are no longer a user with preferences. You are a behavioral profile being optimized in real time. 30 years. That's all it took. From anonymous strangers arguing in text forums to a machine that knows what you'll watch next before you do. The internet didn't just connect us, it learned us, and it's still learning. If you want to understand the infrastructure running all of this, the physical wires, the cables, the servers, the 7 levels of internet is up next.